Anyone that's online, please mute your mic, please.
Somebody's on recording.
You see anything?
Hey, Michelle. How are you? Good. No.
I'm trying to go faster. Speak it in there. What is it?
Love your age.
How are you? Good. That's good. Picking up the warm weather. Sir.
Oh, yes.
When you print the PDF.
For lunch?
They have to end the meeting before I leave. No, I'll be happy with the rest of it. It's perfect.
You don't have a hookup
Interesting though, that the PDF, only the PDF.
in the Excel? The Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it.
You've moved.
No, I mean, they already.
Riley's moving down the line.
Which is important.
Is he nervous?
So, it's pretty amazing. I don't think that. They would have to do Schluter.
You guys don't talk anyways. Should have been fun.
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of stuff to get in.
Well, that's good.
When we put the password in, I see where. Turn it down.
That sort of logo comes out on the front.
Let me know when it's 6, Jeffrey.
601.
Already? Already?
Yeah, so everything. No, that's the Excel.
Good evening, everybody. It is 6:01 and you are at the December 20th meeting of the Celebration Residential Owners Association here in beautiful Celebration, Florida. Ho, ho, ho to everybody. So, are we ready? Jeffrey's going to be leading the way today. Do we have a quorum, Jeffrey?
We do.
And
Charles is on.
purposely,
Charles is online.
oh, hi, Charles.
I'm online. Hi.
Okay. And the meeting was properly noticed. Stand for the pledge of allegiance. Oh, there it is. It's behind the thing.
Multiple move there as well.
Oh, yonder.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Okay. Owner's comment. We have 3 people that have signed the sheet, and if there's anybody online that wants to ask a question after we're done inside the room here, just kind of give us a wave. First person is Gary Hudson.
Good evening, Gary Hudspeth, 1471 Resolute. I have been tracking the action plan for Grand Manners, and what I see so far is some paragraphs on the Monday matters. I find that lacking and skimpy. I was hoping that we would see who it's assigned to by name, the action, and what the actual timeline and what the progress is on that timeline. And then the action from the board, whether they think that performance is satisfactory or not. I'm looking for more detail. I think the residents should see that too. This is the first time we've been able to do this with a management company, and we should uphold the contract and follow through with the action plan. So I hope that you can be more transparent and detailed.
Thank you, Gary. Next we have, I'm going to butcher your last name, Guy Afriat.
Yes, good enough. Did good actually.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Come on down. Name and address, please.
So my name is Guy. Guy is good enough, and the address is 100 Grinnell Place. The reason I came here today, I didn't have any invitation or anything like that, but I had notices for my property of violation, and I try to talk to the people that gave me the notices. I've been given an extending time until the end of December to complete the violations. I've completed most of them, and I found out that you guys had a meeting, prior meeting to this one, that nobody was notifying you guys that I received an extension, and I just been, I don't know, written off as a person that didn't follow through on the violations.
Are you talking about the appeals meeting tonight or a covenants meeting?
I think you talking about covenants. You talk-
Covenants, I guess.
Yeah. What did your notice say? What were you missing? Did you have to like mow your lawn or
Stuff
mulch
like that,
and
yes,
stuff like that? Yeah.
yes.
So covenants.
So if this is the wrong meeting, I apologize. I just didn't want to miss another meeting and look bad at, because I received an extension to follow through those violations until the end of December. And then I received a letter that says that I basically didn't do the violation. And then I have until X date to remove what I did. Like there's like a camera issue and stuff like that. I have to remove them all. Otherwise, I'm going to start getting penalized. And I just wanted to speak to somebody about that.
Okay, could you follow up on that?
I can.
Powers that be?
Yes, we will. What's your address?
100 Grinnell Place.
Somebody will get in touch with you and get it straightened out.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the third person on our list is Jim Pano. Hello.
How are we doing tonight?
Good. I can't believe you have reports on what's in there with you.
Well, I'm from Syracuse, New York.
Oh, well, there you go.
This is warm weather. It's 2293 Celebration Boulevard. I'm just here to talk a little bit about Island Village. First of all, I want to thank Grand Manners and Exquisite. They've done a really good job following up on a lot of issues in Island Village. The amenity center was resodded. Muse was resodded. Mulch was put down. Pine straw. So the residents appreciate it. Number two, I heard from Mattamy today on the lights on the bridge. And just as an update, they're still working with CCDD. There's one pole that has to be completely removed because that's what's causing the outage. And they're going to try and get a fix somehow to get the other lights working. But again, our hope for that being done quickly is not all that great. My time's up.
No.
Jeez. Third thing is hopefully you'll get to this tonight, the age restriction. I checked out Spring Lake the other day. They still have the age limits up. So I think Island Village Fitness Center is the only fitness center in Celebration, probably the whole state of Florida, where a 12-year-old brother can take their 5-year-old sister in to lift weights. And I just don't think that's right. So hopefully you guys can fix this tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay. Jeffrey, is anybody online that's raising their hand or?
Nope.
No?
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
There's a second?
I'll second.
I think I heard Jared first. I would like to add a discussion item. I apologize, I didn't notice before. If we have time to talk about revising the committee resolutions. I think that was the last, in our back and forth with our emails, that was the last suggestion from Charles that it be added to the agenda and discussed. So if we have time today, I'd like to discuss that. Anybody else have any issues with the agenda? Questions, comments? All right, all in favor?
Just reflecting on Gary's comments and then our board discussions of last time and time before, do we want to have a little discussion about that, again, time permitting? About what we would like to see in terms of action plan and follow-up and monitoring, and then looking ahead where that started actually 6 months ago, and then when we actually, I think, got the report, what, 5-6 weeks ago. Part of the intent was to formalize a decision about, do we feel the need to go for an RFP or not at this point? Because the contract will end the end of December, end of October, unless we do something. And if there's a desire by this board to initiate an RFP process, that should not start in August or September.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should start sooner rather than later, like last month. So we need to at least have some discussion and put it on the agenda, or just make sure it's on the agenda for January. If time permits.
Yeah, I think I prefer to put on the agenda for January so we could all really look at the report that's given and then give our input onto what we would like added, as well as what Gary has said, if that's okay with everybody. Right.
Again, if time permits, maybe there's some initial discussion based on what Gary said this evening.
Yeah. I do think David is spot on, though. I think if we can have like a small discussion, because I don't think we've landed anywhere around reporting to the community, at least with consistency. And then I don't know how I don't know what we're doing in today's meeting about. I think I see Demetrius there. What's the cadence of how this is being presented in the board meeting? So I agree with David. I think we should have at least kind of a cursory discussion, maybe no more than 5 or 10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Not coming to a conclusion, but a discussion about what we would like to see for a January discussion, for a meaningful January discussion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the agenda is going to stand with the addition of discussing
C and D.
Yeah, C and D, the resolutions for next year's committees, getting a start on those, and then also 5 or 10 minutes for the feedback on the action plans. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Minutes for the workshop?
You want to do them separately? Sure.
Yes, please.
A motion to approve the minutes for the workshop from November 8th.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion necessary? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? CROA board meeting. You okay, Charles?
I'm in favor. Sorry, I didn't come off mute. I'm in favor.
Okay, I figured. CROA board meeting for November 29th. Do I have a motion? Anybody?
I'll make the motion.
I have a second.
Second.
Charles and Bill.
I want to discuss this, please.
Absolutely, Ms. Secretary.
Okay. So, I reached out to Lauren and asked in the future for the upcoming meeting minutes, if we can have them sooner than we received them this month. And they're I reached out to the board members and asked if anyone had an issue with any of the board minutes, the board meeting minutes, and if there were any inaccuracies. And a red flag was sent up to me. Let's see. Action required 9. Mr. Richards motions to approve the payment plan request. Mrs. McFadden seconds. Motion passes unanimously. I remember that, and I've been arguing with Lauren and Aldonia that those were not accurate. It wasn't unanimous until I went back and listened to the meeting. But what sent the red flag up was an email that Jared sent to the board on December 5th, telling us that, and I'm in all fairness to being transparent here, I am going to read it because this is like a nastygram email that we received. Let me start with saying it's not a criticism of the board and any of you directly, but rather an issue of negligence on Graham Manors you were cornered into. You all voted to approve a payment plan for a resident at the November board meeting. It has come to my attention that there was no documentation about this payment plan at the time. In fact, there wasn't any documentation until the resident followed up, and there still may be none. My question is, do you have a document with the payment plan terms you approved? It is my understanding you do not. You all voted to approve it, which would be a very bad thing for Graham Manors to allow an attempt to push on the board. I abstained as I didn't have the documents. Can you send me the approved, please, or provide insight? Charles responded immediately to that email request. I went back and listened to the video. Timestamp was 2 hours, 15 minutes, 30 seconds into it. So, Jared, did you abstain or didn't you?
I think you're about to tell us all, so.
We need to know if the minutes are going to be approved because you said that you abstained and the video said you didn't.
I did.
Okay, but this is something that was an email that maybe didn't have to occur in the words it did. But we'll move forward then. If you didn't, and it was passed unanimously, you did abstain on number 10 to that. So I don't have a problem with that. Cindy, do you have a problem with any other of the meetings?
Well, I had one comment, but just so I'm clear, I've seen several versions of the minutes. The one that I have still shows Jared abstaining on number 9, but that's been corrected.
He didn't abstain.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The copy that I have.
The original version was him not abstaining. It was passed unanimously. Then at Celia's request, I changed it, but went back and watched the meeting.
Right, and I watched it also.
Because my notes were different.
Okay.
Right.
So the copy of the minutes that I have in my book are wrong because you have now taken that it's back to unanimous. Okay.
Just want to make sure that is straight.
The only comment I had is the number 8, the wording was a little confusing to me when I read it. Just the vote was on the table. I think it should say, just start from the beginning. During the technology committee discussion, the motion was put to a vote.
The question was called.
Our question was called. That's right. Yeah.
So to number 9, we did have all the accurate information. We did have the figures.
Correct.
And Charles is the one that responded that the figures were indeed in our packet.
Okay, so we got that corrected. We're going to change that A little bit of a wording on number 8. Anybody else? Okay, with those 2 changes. We had a motion from Charles, second from Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay,
I will abstain.
Aaron's going to abstain.
I don't know what just happened, but
You don't know what happened?
yeah, I don't know what that show was for, so.
It wasn't a show. It was an email that you sent
Yeah, I know.
saying that we approved something that we clearly had no information on, which we did.
No, I understand.
And it raised a red flag on, did you abstain or didn't you? So we needed to get it straight.
Okay, we've got it straight. Moving on. Financials. We have with us Miss Jennifer. What's going on with our money, Jennifer?
Good evening, everyone. So we've got the November financials that just came out. Overall, it was a good month as far as being close to budget. We had a deficit of 37,000. The budget was for 33, so we just barely missed that. Some items of the month were some maintenance items that were high due to some electrical lighting repairs, some breaker repairs, concrete repairs, and then we had some truck repairs, of course. We had a few water meters that aren't being invoiced right, so we're looking into that, but we did have a few past due invoices that we needed to take care of, so that was in that as well. Year to date, we have a $253,000 deficit. Our fund balances currently are as follows. In operating, we have 1.9 million, in reserves 2.1 million, and in capital 3.3 million. Is there any questions regarding them?
I have a question. When are the assessments coming out?
Yeah, good question.
I don't understand. What do you mean? When? You mean
Our January assessments?
yes? You mean as far as like having statements and coupons and that sort of thing? Those are being, those should be being processed right now.
Okay. People have been asking me because usually I think we get them a little earlier in the month. And they're just concerned that they missed it. I said, I haven't gotten mine yet, so you probably didn't miss it.
Statements went out last week.
Went out last week, so we should be getting up any day.
So
Perfect. Sorry, threw you a curveball there.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are there maybe like 2 to 3 specific areas that are running hot off the top of your head? I usually go line through line and pick those out, but are there any, just as you now almost have basically a full year where we're over budget or we missed significally? Well, as I say, running hot,
Off the top of my head, it would be pool chemicals and probably landscaping.
Okay. And obviously those we've talked about, and I think that's forward. I guess I would say maybe those are things we can take into next year. Just look at, in hindsight, there are opportunities to, look at those differently with RFPs or whatnot. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
A lot of those repairs though?
Yeah, they were a bunch of minor repairs.
Anybody else have questions for Jennifer? Okay. Committee and partner updates. Start with committees. And the liaison with the Covenants Committee, it was business as usual. They were given, the ARC committee was currently working on adjustments to the guidelines. Those were shared with Covenants. They both now had a chance to look at them, and I believe they're trying to schedule a meeting in early January to hone down on changes that we need to make to the guidelines. But that's it. It's business as usual. No meeting this month. Next.
Park met as usual. We had, I think, 11 actions. I think pretty much everything was approved. The 2 that were brought to this board last month are still being processed as far as I know. We discussed them. That was one for a security light that was mounted in the wrong location. The other was for
Door color.
Door color. So those, as far as I know, have not been resolved. And we're going to have a meeting, I believe it's the 8th of January, to discuss changes to the some of the design guidelines that are either out of date or need to be modified. So that's going to take place on the 8th. We have a
It's a
list.
joint meeting with covenants, right?
Okay. We had 17 we started out with. I don't know exactly. I haven't seen the 8th yet. But we did see a reduced list, and I think there was 7 that had some resolution that we thought we could agree on.
Delia?
I was unable to make the special event meeting. They had their holiday concert last night, which I was also unable to make. But I heard it was amazing. And the special event committee is working on some. Charles, you were at the meeting, correct? The beginning of the meeting?
I was at the end. I caught the end of it.
Oh, you caught the end of it? Okay. Well, anyway, they're doing some planning now with the father-daughter dance. And they're able to now rent, it was in today's email, I think, that they're going to be renting Celebration High School and doing a mentalist.
Geez, what a great idea.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be in February. That's going to be an awesome event. I guess it's not a magician. It's like a mind
A
person.
mentalist?
Yeah. Ooh, it's going to be really good. So they have some really good things lined up for the new year. And then today we had our staff appreciation lunch and found out that pretty much half of the staff at Celebration Town Hall are either musicians, singers, entertainers, and I think we're going to plan something in the future. The service area, I spoke with Rose. We have some good reports from the service areas that we're getting bad reports, so I'm happy about that. Happy Island Villages coming up with landscaping. But the service areas are pretty happy with, now that the mulch is put down, things look a lot different. So they're happy with Rose and the landscapers. There hiccups, yes, but they're being worked on. Also, as far as the condo councils, we haven't had a meeting since the end of July. So I'm looking to have a meeting in January with the condo associations. And one more thing, Community Connection starts back up in January. So we'll be going and moving forward with that. And that's it.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment on condo?
You can.
Yeah, if I may. Management knows this. CAI has an annual
They said
workshop, not workshop, but there's training, there are education sessions, there's vendors. It may be worthwhile for some, whether it's some from the condo council.
they get all that information and they actually forward it to me.
Or even to go to that and get some of that live.
Mhm.
It's so different.
Right.
And there's some amazing sessions at the, and it's typically at the Gaylord or the Marriott over the last 5 years. So I just think about some of the things that might be even done, because we've talked in the past about training for condo council members, whether it's their management staff or their volunteer board members.
Right, and we also discussed with management that moving forward, when they meet with the condo council, when they meet with the condo associations, their management companies, that the board members for those condos be part of those meetings, so they know what's going on.
Exactly.
Did you say anything about technology?
Where is it? Jose, not since the last meeting, there hasn't been a meeting, but Jose, do you have anything to say in regard to technology?
We met on the 6th of December.
Right.
And we're looking to address some issues with the website plugins with Freshie Sites and evaluate the backup policy and the update policies for the website just to make sure that we maintain it secure. We also discussed the EV charging handover. Yeah, and there was just a couple of other smaller line items that we're working on.
I did learn a lot at that meeting, so.
Sandy?
That's good.
Okay, David, we'll let Kathleen talk about
Yeah,
the foundation.
Yep.
Jared?
Finance committee met, discussed making a 3-page summary of the financials to make things easier to understand. There was discussion about the insurance and some of the policy changes that we made about self-insuring small things, and then other policies that we have that we don't actually need based on our original RFP. So that's being reviewed and will be discussed in January. The audit is on hold pending the Artisan Park financials. Jennifer, I don't know, can we speak about that at all? Has that been resolved, or?
As of the end of last week, the auditor said he thinks he has everything and was going to review it and hopefully have an update for me this week.
Okay, so great. That's a better update than from them. And as I'm reading the rest of this here, that's about everything that was discussed at the finance meeting. There's no dog park meeting for December.
Thank you. Charles?
So obviously we had the joint workshop, so don't need to recap that. CDD. So I sat through my first CDD meeting as liaison yesterday. It was a 5-hour meeting.
Yeah.
What's that?
In person?
No. I was online. I didn't sit through the full 5 hours. I did 2 hours. And the first 2 hours and then some were the RFP process. They were going through the finalist exercise for landscaping companies, I think, to replace Juniper. So I thought it was actually a pretty interesting process. I didn't get to necessarily talk about CROA stuff, and obviously it was my first meeting. Again, it was 5 hours. I enjoy being a liaison, but not that much. But there were definitely some good practices I saw that were used during that process, and things I think we can hopefully talk about next month and going forward. I really liked what they did with the finalist interviews, where they had the vendors there. They actually interviewed them on the spot, and it was a good process. I think there are some things we can look at and incorporate into our own processes, and especially around procurement. Obviously, we have so many pain points around that. I think there's a lot of value in that. So that was CDD. I believe CDD GoGov, I think, is going live January 15th, from what I heard. So that's another thing so far. So that's CDD. Recommend CDD. School board. There hasn't been much there. It's been pretty quiet. Next year I'm going to reach out to Terry Castillo and Lauren. We can talk about that. I'd like to try and get that off the ground and build some connectivity there. And then I realized I'm also a co-chair with Madame. So I don't know what's going on with that, but if there's anything in particular that we need to do, or meetings we need to schedule or whatnot, especially as obviously things start ramping up with the next parts of development and other things, we definitely like to stay involved in that. But those are my reports.
Charles, can we go back to CCDD for a minute? Have you heard anything, or did they say anything about where they stand on the engineering study for that parcel of land that we own on the boulevard, or on Celebration Avenue on the boulevard?
No, I don't. It may have been during that meeting. I'll have to go back and watch the last.
No, I just thought maybe. Yeah, I thought maybe they might have stuck something in. You don't know anything about it, do you? Gary?
I was there for the whole 5 hours. They're going to forward you what they've got.
So they've done it.
By and large, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sitting through that meeting, Gary.
Foundation, Kathleen.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Scipio. I'm the Executive Director of the Celebration Foundation. Before I get to my report, what I think I heard you say is you have a very talented staff at Town Hall. So I just want to speak on behalf of my team. Challenge accepted. We'd like to do maybe a talent show and see really who is the most talented in the community of Celebration.
I love it.
And it's free.
And it's free. Okay, we had a very busy month. I will just start by saying this community is so very generous. I know you hear me speak of that every month, but quite frankly, you make me feel like Santa Claus 12 months a year. So we started the month of December with the famous, fabulous holiday home tour. We had 8 stops. We had 11 sponsors. We had 1,330 people walk through our homes. Our VIP night was sold out at Heritage Hall. And for the first time ever, we sold every tree and tablescape that night. For the first time ever, we were 100% sold out. I will tell you, they were generous and they wanted a lot of glitter and sparkle. There's so many great stories that I don't want to take up your time. But one of my favorite was, in order to get to 100% bragging rights, there was one tree that was stunning by the church dog, Tracy, and 5 families went in as a coalition to purchase that, but not to go in anybody's home. They sent it to the Boys and Girls Club of Osceola County.
Oh, wonderful.
And the church dog went in costume and visited the boys and girls, gave them books and cookies. Who doesn't like sugar at Christmas time? And it just was just a really, really giving event. So it's the tree that keeps giving. Let's see. The town of Celebration, we asked them not only to decorate trees and donate them, but we asked them to build a basket. And 162 residents built us baskets and donated them so that we could reap the benefits. And we were only left with 4 baskets at the end of the entire weekend. So it really was a wonderful, wonderful event. I don't know if you saw when you drove past Heritage Hall, there were very large inflatable ornaments, and that was part of our giving trail. And that was some A-frames that Nikki dropped off for us, that we could brag on how much we gave back to the community from this event last year. So stay tuned for next year's Giving Trail. Then after that, I stopped by Celebration K-8 because the PTA wanted to donate almost $1,000 to our scholarship program. And apparently I missed Buddy the Elf by like 5 minutes for a photo opportunity. And then the Celebration Foundation supported the FIT students to visit the holiday shop so that they could shop for their loved ones during the school day. We supported them for $20 each. And then we were lucky to be given the opportunity to supply the sheriff for the Nev Parade, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the most participants this year?
20. Yes.
25, I counted, yes.
Full resident run, so
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, so that was wonderful to see and followed to Artisan Park. My daughter kept calling me and saying, Mom, why are you moving so slow? I'm following you on Life 360. I said, I'm behind this fabulous Nev Parade. So thank you for that opportunity.
And thank you for allowing it.
I think you need two sheriffs next year, one in the front and one in the back, but just saying. And then we had our holiday concert with Zoe Tyler this Friday night at Community Presbyterian Church. I don't know if you're familiar with, we have band students from Celebration High School. They run our concession stand. They run it every concert series. It's a donation-based concession stand. And then they raise a couple $1,000s to give back to the music programs at the high school. Well, I'm proud to say they were smart enough to serve hot chocolate on Friday night, and they raised the most in one night since the pre-COVID days. They raised $585. So super proud of them. Zoe Tyler, during the sound check, almost broke the stained glass window in Community Presbyterian Church. She did a fabulous job with David Shannon, who was her guest. And he was in the Phantom of the Opera on the West End. I got bragging rights on this because he was the Phantom. So we had the Phantom in Celebration. And lastly, 2019, we partnered with Mattamy Homes. I'm a firm believer in fulfilling wish lists for children during the holidays. Love the Toys for Tots program, but I do believe every child deserves what they wish for specifically at the holidays. So we partnered with Mattamy in 2019. We did about 100 wish tags for Embrace of Celebration at the Backlot Apartments. We are doing 70 children again this year with Mattamy, where Mattamy buys the gifts for the kids, the specific gifts, and we give the food restricted, all the gift cards to the parents. So that is it. Again, thank you very much for being the most generous community that I have ever lived in and for making me feel like Santa Claus every day.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. You do good work. Okay, moving on to the action items. Anybody else? Before we do, anybody else have any committee questions? Anything? No? Okay. Action items. A, motion to approve reimbursement agreement with Grand Manners.
I'll motion.
Second.
Eric and Vincent. Any discussion? Or anybody want to recap that for anybody who's listening, or?
We talked about this before.
Yeah, this is so that everybody understands. This agreement is that Grand Manager is going to reimburse us for the project manager for the playgrounds, correct?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. There's no more questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh, great. B, motion to approve Vigilant Services Agreement for project management for the Long Meadow and Spring Park Playground Project. Motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any conversation? Nothing? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimous. C, motion to approve a vendor for the Spring Park and Long Meadow Playground Project.
So Cindy, we'd like to give the floor to Mark Kramer and Chad Barrett from Vigilant for their presentation.
Great. Let's go to the microphone. We don't want to miss this.
No. You read it all right. I gave you homework.
I know.
So we went through all 4 or 5 vendors. We had 3 responses. 2 of them didn't have the full scope of work. One of them had playground equipment, but no turf. One had turf, no playground equipment. I got the extension for a week to have them come back out on site. Jeffrey and I met one of them, and then they just ghosted us. I followed up with them yesterday, today. Also double checked with 360 Recreation to make sure their bid was good, because I knew that was the only one that had the full RFP. There's no changes, no surprises. And do you guys have any questions in the presentation?
So I will say, I'm going to make a motion just to table this because we just got this information when we walked in the room. We haven't had time to review any of this.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll
wait
make
a second. I don't have anything either.
Charles doesn't even have it. Yeah.
Okay.
I have questions about,
Yep.
It seems like it's been, well, first it's hard to compare line by line because it seems like there's bundling in differently by the 2 different companies.
Yeah, they never give you exactly line items. We try to get it to them, put them on our spreadsheet, which has those line items, and only one of them did what they were supposed to. Like I said, I think it's the yellow one. They don't have any of the playground equipment included.
Right, you noted
Pretty
that.
much have one vendor that we are gut feeling and has the best, like,
So for their number, the equipment itself would be an add-on.
correct. And he actually came out on site with me and Jeffrey Thursday, last week. Said he'd have it by Monday. Didn't get anything. Followed up on Monday night yesterday because I knew the board meeting was coming. No answer, no reply.
Okay, so do we treat these as preliminary or?
May I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with the playground project largely in vigilance care, we want to make sure that the board knows we would definitely want to table this. Not having it in the right format is actually a statement of we can't compare anything.
Right.
We specify a format not just because we're persnickety. I mean, the format does dictate the decision. Having those line items align, you can do apples to apples to apples. It's really the only way we can sanction the bid. And I'm not trying to say that they had like ill intention in skirting our format, but we really don't know. I mean, we really don't know. But being that it's in our care, we can't have this board make a decision off of this data. I can't even call it preliminary. And I'm sad to say that, but it's really important that we wait for the format and get these vendors to be in line.
And I personally get worried over big bundled numbers like existing conditions for outdoor living. It's one large fat number. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what's included. Presumably they gave it to you, but either way, it needs to be evaluated to make sure that it looks sort of like what 360 is proposing.
I think we can bundle in their actual estimates that I actually have, because like you'd have 5 pages of stuff to spread into one little chart there is hard. So I try to dig through each estimate, make sure their line items are the same where they're supposed to be, or move them. So when you see it, they're all pretty much side by side.
And you've only got 4 divisions. Does that encompass everything?
Yeah. On the green, the 360 did everything. I compressed it from their spreadsheet or our spreadsheet that they filled out.
Sure.
To this chart. Otherwise, like I said, you'd have too much information to put on there.
Right. But all of that information is backup data that is in the archive. Should anyone want to really go and review each line item, they can.
Correct.
Typically, just for board presentations, we try to summarize it to the divisions, always able to expand it out. And 360 so far is, and they're in compliance, but they're not 100% in compliance with the format, or is
No,
that?
they are 100% compliant.
Good. Okay.
They sent it to this team and I didn't get it, and they just resent it. Followed up with them today and said, hey, does this include everything? Is there any changes, any allowances? How's your timeline looking when your start date? Because I'm going to the board. They're going to ask these questions. They're good to start in January. They're still in a 30-day window. If you're tabling it, I'll keep following up the other 2 vendors that did kind of show some interest and just keep pushing them.
Yeah, but on the there's a bit of a problem though with I don't think it's correct to just keep giving extension after extension after extension. That's really not a practice.
I'm not asking for an extension, but if you're tabling it, I'm going to continue to work for you and try to get, some comparables. I mean, obviously,
my point is my point is like if they're not doing it in the right format, and I think there's a lot of things that probably could have been a little bit different with this procurement. It seems like I know we were trying to get it in around Thanksgiving. We had to extend it. There were some bidders that declined to quote, and now we're seeing obviously there are some challenges just around complying with the RFP. We have one seemingly compliant vendor. Obviously, that's really not enough to work with. It just seems like something is a little bit off. And again, I'm not a fan of just giving multiple extensions because 360 did their work. Like they got it in on time. Have we given them more time to look at their bill? It's creating some uneven playing field, and I think we're losing some of the best practices of good procurements.
And we're trying to stick to like our hard, like it has to be on our sheet. This is the deadline. We did get the one extension. I followed up with them, offered to meet them on site.
We're talking about the other 2.
Correct.
Red and green, red and blue. Red and blue. So
True north and but
what Charles is saying, it's true. So if they decide, red and blue decides, okay, let's send you something. Then we're back to square one. Okay, now we got to review all of that. This green one is been doing everything they're supposed to do. And we're tabling it so that we could get some more accurate numbers from them.
No, that's not why I motioned.
No, why'd you motion?
I motioned to table it because we received this document.
Right.
30 minutes ago.
So we can review it and everything, right?
Yes. Okay, that's not what you said.
No, I used my words wrong. I meant we're keeping it so that we have a chance to review it.
Yes.
But not add any more to it, like from red and blue, to make it even pushed out even further.
I mean, if they present me something, I will forward it. your decision whether you want to put them together or just, sorry, you're late, you're out. That's your guys' call.
Right.
I mean, I'll continue to try to get you, another offer.
As far, what I've been thinking the last several weeks is excuse me, if they don't care enough to submit it in the format that we've asked, if we have to chafe them and beg them to get the information to us, then maybe they don't want the job.
Or maybe they
And we're
can't
just spinning
produce.
our wheels.
Yeah.
And how responsive are they going to be if they do actually win the bid?
They vary. There's a lot of, contractors. They're contractors. They're not pencil pushers. They'll do a great job. They just, here's your estimate in their format. They'll send you a book sometimes. We're like, we need it in this format. And it just kills a lot of birds with one stone. Apples to apples line items, something we can sanction that bid. Like we can't sanction anybody else's but 360.
Right. I have something to add to that, but I wanted to defer over to David.
Yeah, what you just said, I'm going to say it differently. Putting things in the right format really does help, and it helps to compare. The work that we want to have done is quality work. Format may be crap, like illegible, but the work is superb. So I assume that reference checks and all of that is part of that. So you might have someone in the right format, but the reference checks say not so good.
But we do, and I appreciate that. There is something though that we just have to defer to. If the docs mandate that you have a competitive process, this does in certain interpretations of either docs or 718, this would qualify a competitive bid process if folks said, I'm not interested. But we want to make sure that that too is part of the discussion because we have to comply. That's the whole reason for a board. You got to comply with your docs. And if you have to keep iterating ad nauseum until you get the actual 3 bids, unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to do. But we would say very much so, you know what, you're not interested. We already put on our RFP. If it's not in the format, you're disqualified. But we really don't rule the roost. That's just our own internal statement.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but if 50% of the bidders are not able to complete the proposal, I don't know. Again, I'm pointing back at the RFP that something may be off there. Something may be broken in how we sent this to market that is creating issues. And again, I don't like issuing extensions back to back to back. Especially when we have one vendor that's complied.
Are these the documents? Was this the document and this that was sent to the people to complete the things that we were provided today?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know what you were provided today, but what was sent was an RFP that was written prior to our time that we reviewed, mind you. And onto that RFP, titrated from the information of that RFP, we created a cost breakdown worksheet, which, by the way, erroneously, just an item of housekeeping. When last we served Grand Manners, we served as a 2-team group, CERTA and Vigilant. So there might be like a little moniker of CERTA on the bottom. I'm sorry about that. Well, that's actually my question, because I questioned that before and I was told it was a mistake. And
Definitely a mistake. Yeah.
if I'm a contractor and I'm getting a bid document from Vigilant, and at the bottom is the logo of someone who could bid on this job.
They're not a contractor though.
What do they do?
The engineer.
They're a partner firm of ours. They do building envelope engineering. And it just so happened when last we served you, we were studying this building and we did it with CERTA. So they wouldn't see this as something that's a problem that they would see as a competitor to this. Oh, no, they're not licensed or able to do physical work. Okay. They're smart, but they can't hold a hammer. Okay. Yeah. And then the other thing I would say is I know I want to see their proposals. Your synopsis here is good, but I want to see their full.
I'll forward both of those to you guys.
And I would guess others do.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. If you had any more document requests.
Yeah, the whole thing they submitted. Okay. Well, I think ironically, some of them submitted erroneously directly to the association instead of bringing it to Vigilant, which is okay. As long as we get it, we can put it in our format, but we can get you the entirety unadulterated of what they sent to us. Yeah. Absent any formatting. So you can just see what they sent. But just know that if we're involved, we can't really sanction their bids until they put it into our exact format, because that they can skirt a lot of things. Yeah.
You don't know what made up the numbers that they put on a certain line item.
Precisely. They can bake a lot into one thing. Yes, sir.
I think the other underlying tenor here is, while we want it done well, we want it done as quickly as possible. We wanted it done yesterday. So yes, we need to delay, but does delay mean the January board meeting, or is there something that could be accelerated before that? That's a question. I mean, we want to get these,
I mean, I'll
this
get you
work done.
there, I'll get you their submitted proposals tomorrow, so you have their information to compare to the sheet. Then it's kind of on you guys. I will continue to talk to the other vendors just to see if they're gonna play ball or not. It's up to you guys to say we'll allow it or we won't.
So do we have to wait a whole till
That's,
the
that's
end
my
of
question.
January?
That's my question.
Or can we have like a workshop?
You can have a meeting.
A workshop in between?
But,
a good
but we
question.
also have the right per the RFP to waive irregularities, keep in mind. So I guess my point is, like, they should just submit this tomorrow, frankly. Get it in, and then present it to us, present the irregularities, present where they took deviations. Let's just get these in. I understand you saying you can't censor this, but
I have those, but when I read through the RFP, I think it's pretty complete. There might be some little questions. That's why we offer to meet on site. But when they don't even address it in their whole estimate, even on my sheet that I took it from, if you go to their proposals, which you'll see tomorrow, they don't even address equipment. Their swing is missing. You guys want the ADA swing, the toddler swing.
let's put it through. And again, the RFP gives us the right to look at irregularities across all quotes, all proposals. And we need to just get this on. We need to wrap up the proposal submittal. And
what I was
evaluate with what they have.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going through those and you're gonna pick outdoor living, I'm telling you, they have none of the equipment in it. So that number's either gonna change or it's not gonna get fixed. But that's not what you requested in your RFP. So I'm just,
I think he knows.
I'm just,
I do. I think he's got it.
being totally translucent.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, don't pick them. They're not gonna fix everything that you guys want it fixed.
Yeah.
That's
Plus likely we're gonna end up just with this one.
But if it's worth saying, and I know I'm bleeding into your time that I'm already stealing, let's just talk brass tacks. We do this for a living. We do this across a lot of Central Florida. When vendors show interest, they tend to be the ones you want to partner with. Jennifer showed up. She did the format. She responded to emails. It's like, I'm not advocating. I'm not in their camp. I don't get any kickbacks. I'm just being real honest. The vendors that show interest are the ones with which you want to partner. It should never really be a race to the bottom. Lowest wins. It's like, hey, who's going to do the best job, as evidenced by how well you paid attention to the RFP. At the very least, if you expect them to pay attention to details and execution and just skirt the RFP, guess what? There's a whole solar system between that level of execution. We don't want to sanction that. But I know you get it. I mean, I understand that you get it. We just have to say it. And so sorry. Yes.
So I had a question. All these vendors did a job walk with you guys?
Did a what?
A job walk.
Physical job walk. They were all here?
I only been with 3 of them.
And one of the 3 have a correct proposal. The 2 of the
Correct
3.
proposal, correct format, and covered all the things about it.
Okay.
To answer your question,
green.
all 4 did.
All 4 did
Yeah,
walk.
I wasn't with all
Okay.
4 of them. I was with 3.
And to Jared's or Charles's point, you're the professionals. In your professional opinion, is there a reason why the other 2 are ghosting us?
There really isn't. It's not that these are evil vendors, but someone brought up Buddy the Elf recently. Remember the board presentation that happened on Christmas Eve in the movie Elf? I mean, that's kind of what we're in too. I mean, it's the end of the year. It's Christmas week. That could play really strong role. I'm just being honest.
How
yeah.
many weeks has this been going on?
No, quite a few. I mean, quite a few, no doubt. And even one vendor we were pretty sharp with because he made it seem as though, you want this to be rushed, et cetera. And we're like, we've given you like 4 weeks. I mean, it's been plenty of time. But when you're talking about the follow-up specifically, I think it had to do more with now the close proximity to Christmas. Yeah. But no,
I think it was too aggressive of a timeline. I mean, we talked about this with just I put out there, like, we had to give an extension, like it was just too close to Thanksgiving. And, it's just, this is not a good time. And again, I want to go back because I hear everything you're saying and I agree with you. Obviously, whoever's submitting this, you want it, the person who's compliant, the person who's not taking exceptions, the one who's may not necessarily be the lowest price. Obviously, they probably want the business, but when you look at this in totality and you see 50% of them aren't able to comply with the format, one of them is missing. You got to look back at the RFP and you got to think something may be broken there. And then you got to look at the time frame, and something may be broken there. I guess that's where I'm going with this. I think it's great that we have one. It's great that they complied and everything, but I think there's a larger systemic issue here.
Because I did even talk to True North on Monday, and he's basically just said those things. We look at it as like, hey, you've had weeks to do this. You're waiting till the last second. But he was like, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. They're trying to rush this. I can go back. I've built most of the parks in the area. Don't know. But I mean, I could probably get you more estimates. But that's up to you guys. We've given them time. We think ample time. We've offered ourselves to meet them on site several times.
I think the process and the RFP are fine, and having dealt myself in the realities of bidding. Sometimes I'm looking at outdoor living. I'm wondering if that's a no thank you bid. They don't want to irritate you. They send in something that was sort of there, but basically we don't want the work, but we don't want to say we don't want the work.
Well, I think that, just to be honest, that one was one that does turf and not playground equipment. So he's like, we got to bring somebody in, figure out what's this going to cost, where we're going to get the equipment from, what kind of timelines. Can we use their vendor or a different vendor to use the same equipment? Same thing with Swing Station. They don't do turf. They're like, we got to find a turf company, but they just fell off the face there.
So 360 does everything.
360 does everything. They were compliant. They're on time. True North does everything. They just need a little bit more research time. So that's on you guys. We think they've had ample time. We think the RFP is fine.
Yeah, we're a pen in your hand. I mean, we will certainly move at the speed the board wants us to move, and that's what we've been doing. But if you had to make a decision tonight, you have very little data, but you have some kind of an EQ element that says, hey, there's a lot of interest, not just a mild level, from 360 Recreation.
You've looked at the data.
What's that?
You've looked at the data, and you work for us.
Correct.
Managed by Grand Manners.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
But I don't think extending it to wait for bids from these two guys, the red and the blue, or doing further outreach. Are we dealing with an economic situation where people have other work or don't want this work or whatever the reason is? And I've seen it many times where it's a great piece of work. Why does anybody bid it? Or not enough people bid it. Sometimes happens.
But like he was saying, what's broken? I think it was a little bit of the timeline. I think the RFP is fine.
But I guess my point is, if we extend timelines to try to get more bids or do anything else, I doubt we're going to get a better outcome.
It's just kicking the can.
Right. But we do delay the project further.
Ken, Alec had something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on your experience, do you feel if 360 is complete, do you feel their price they provided is reasonable and in line with what you would expect?
From what I've seen, yes. Not that I'm a playground expert or turf expert, but just seeing the other avenues and kind of poking around,
Because the exercising more, you would hope that someone provides a complete, inclusive bid that's lower. So if this is a reasonable price, study the information, you put it out to the market told you one's interested.
I mean, me just picking apart numbers, if you were to add on the equipment to the yellow one, outdoor living, you're going to be really close. They're not like way far apart. And I don't have a third one.
The yellow is not complete.
Correct. It doesn't have the equipment because it's lower.
Further up.
They're going to
No, yellow is higher.
Already high.
Yellow is higher.
210.
Yellow is 210.
You're right.
Green is 190.
Even higher.
It's going to be even higher.
Do you have the lowest bid and it's complete, but there is intelligence behind it because you know that they don't have to subcontract out the things that they don't have in their core competency. When you subcontract out and it's not a sin, this is the right way to do it. You're going to put 6 to 10 to 14% on top for the management and the coordination. That's exactly what should be done. However, if you have kind of a panacea solution in 360 Recreation where they're not marking up subs, it's a great bid. And we don't like to do this. We don't like to say that a vendor is better than another, but we also recognize this team wants their playgrounds. They want them soon. And then there's that EQX factor that we just have to talk about, which is they're responsive. Not all vendors, even if they're down with the pencil sharp, are responsive And I like interest. I just like partnering with interest because I know that when things go wrong, we can work through them.
Just one last comment.
Yeah.
But I think from the board's perspective, you got a bid for $190,000. That might not be what you pay. Make sure that there's contingency and there's thoughtfulness on what the risks might lie ahead. Any vendor, and that's across anybody.
And that's why
190, anything, you need to be thoughtful on.
That's
this.
why we have these guys.
That's why I want to table this because we don't even have the proposal to look at. So I don't think it would be responsible to even vote. Yes, are we probably going to end up with 360? Probably based on everything we're seeing here. We all agree we don't want to get more bids, but we don't even have a proposal to look at. So to approve it at this meeting would be irresponsible.
So
We
we'll do the
totally
workshop
agree. You
then.
need time to look at it and
Yeah,
read through all the,
Take a look.
like, I even went back.
Do you want to set a meeting for next week?
Right now, I just want to vote to table this motion.
Not decided on it.
We can do
Few
that.
questions, Warren, before we move forward with this. I know I have the timeline down here of everything that's been going on since May. And I don't understand where the hiccup was with Jam and Play.
Well,
Well,
so they,
like,
they were originally brought in to PM this,
right,
but either the communication between Roger and him, or they didn't understand, but they wanted to just do the whole process in-house and not PM it and then oversee another vendor.
so if we went, because that's what they specialized in.
Yeah.
Right, so if we went with them, would this have been complete already? Like, I don't know, I'm trying to understand.
The conversations that I was told about by Roger was that they were available to start in October.
Thank you.
Do you think we have to have a face-to-face? Could we do a virtual meeting? Because this is the only thing on the agenda.
As long as
And everybody
quorum
agrees.
of you available, virtual or in person, it doesn't matter.
I'm tied up Monday.
You'll be tired from handing out gifts.
So real quick, where are we landing with Swing Station and True North? Are they just out? Are we telling them end of day tomorrow? Like, I'm just trying to understand like where that is right now.
That's your guys' decision to tell me. I think I could get an estimate from True North, but it's not gonna be in a week. And I think they'll do it in our format, but that's up to you guys. Swing Station doesn't do turf. They're gonna have to sub it out. And they haven't responded. They're not interested in it. Or showing interest at this point. Maybe it's time of the year, but they're not showing interest.
Charles, I appreciate your question on that, but without even seeing what 360 is offering, I don't even know if we can say that we should, because should we stop bidding? Yes, completely. We should stop all the bidding processes. But I'm not even sure based on what we have that 360 is the right one and we don't need to get more just because we have to. So I don't even think we have the documents to answer that.
That's fair.
We have
No, that's very fair.
recommendations.
So we'll get that information to you tomorrow, and then you guys tell me when you wanna do a virtual meeting and discuss.
Jared, did you make the motion?
So you're gonna
Yes,
send us the divisions broken out.
Did
I'll
Charles?
send you what they sent me.
Everything that we have,
Oh,
you'll
okay,
have.
great.
Yeah.
So Jared? You need a motion to table and Charles seconded it? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Do we want to pick a date for next week?
Maybe by email, just so we can.
Yeah, I can do it. by email.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and
I'll
Mary,
make myself available from
Thank
Colorado.
you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
No problem.
Moving on to D, motion to approve a 3-month contract extension for 6 recreational contractors. Do you have a motion?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
Bill? Any questions? Is this because of the pricing thing that's up in the air?
Yeah, we need to give them time, lead in.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'm gonna abstain. Or recuse myself.
Okay. E, motion to approve 2024 community group definitions, designations, and usage fees as recommended by the Recreation Committee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Great. No second?
Trying to get to it on the,
We shall meet.
did we change anything from when we last? What changed?
Some clarifications. But no, there was not a special category made or anything.
And the legal implications question.
Tom has not gotten me his full recommendation yet. He doesn't think there would be a lot of legal implications if you carve out an
Again,
exception.
The motion to accept.
We can't really discuss this right now because there's no second.
I'll second.
What was your question?
So Tom, I sent Tom the definition and asked him what legal implications there would be if we were providing a special exception for the foundation. When we spoke about it, he said he didn't think there would be really any leg to stand on, but he would do some research. I haven't heard back from him yet on that.
So I think an answer to your question was what's changed. I think at the very beginning of this, there were details. I'm seeing things that are more than I saw before at the very beginning, before we get to the, what do you call it, the grid.
Yeah.
But in terms of the substantive piece, I may have been the most vehement at the workshop. To me, based on the history and the unique role of the Celebration Foundation, I think they deserve a unique designation. That's not talking about fees. That's not talking about logistics. It's only designation. Fees, logistics, setup, all that stuff on the right column, to me is independent. It can be independent. And I was proposing last time, and this is part, or in the workshop, was that last week or week before, whenever it was, sometime recently.
So was that, so we had our workshop, the committee then discussed this in more detail based on our comments, yes, no?
Yeah.
So they chose not to, did they choose not to give
Nikki's
the
here.
foundation? Oh, there you are, I forgot. Hi. Did you choose not to give the foundation their own line item? Or was that not covered, or?
The committee asked to keep them in their original category of number 3 as of right now.
But
I think they were just.
So we had a workshop and they didn't.
yeah, because we weren't, I didn't understand David as saying that they wanted any, I mean, you could have kept them in the 3 thing, but just a line that just said the Celebration Foundation.
It's a separate category. Again, I went into great detail and I have the documentation from the workshop about the long history, the language about the unique role in perpetuity.
Your request had nothing to do with pricing, basically.
And nothing to, pricing is not the question. Over the last 3 years, there with the contract, like we just approved that 3-month extension, there was waiving of fees as part of the pricing, but that was, I think, initiated 3 years ago. Nikki would know, 3 or 4 years ago. That was the no fee part was initiated.
It's been a bit, but I know the committee said they're open into revisiting on that topic.
And the committee in the workshop was saying pending what the legal interpretation would be. So I, my sense is the committee has done a lot of good work, and it was past time to review this and get the fee structure right and definitions and some of that clarification we had in the workshop, which I think is good. So a lot of good work. But I also think that what was raised again at the workshop, or maybe the board meeting before that, was unintended consequences that happened by not paying attention to the unique role based on history and based on Disney's wisdom from when they set it up as an independent group doing the works for the community. So I guess it's my sense that as a board, we're elected to represent the larger community. The committee and often management does a lot of the detailed work. And, we're not a rubber stamp, but we're here to represent the overall interest of the community. So I would, based on the motion that's been put forward, I would vote no. If the motion is amended to put in a, if you will, a 1A or a category 2, new category 2 category for Celebration Foundation, again, with some language that I shared in that workshop, because of their unique role as a philanthropic celebration based from the beginning organization. So I would make an amendment to do that. But as the motion stands, I will vote no.
I guess my challenge with that is, how long are we going to just like how long are we going to litigate this, I guess? I mean, and I don't know, I think based on the workshop, my sense was that there really wasn't an appetite to create a carve out category. So I'm going to leave the motion as is. As I was listening to you, David, I was thinking, should we table it, wait for them to come back? I'm going to leave the motion as is, because I think it's time to just take a vote on this and move on. We're either going to follow rec committee's recommendation and management's recommendation, or we're not. So that's my feeling.
Or we adapt it.
I also think that we're here to represent the residential owners of the community specifically. So it is more specific than maybe your broad stroke of the entire community.
I agree that we're here to represent owners, and I know owners who move here because of what the foundation does with the Thriving in Place opportunity for older adults as well as for the lifelong. So if this gets voted down, I will come back with a second revised motion to take the committee recommendation and add a new category.
And if we want to call for a vote,
Well, then,
there could be more discussion also.
well, but I'm trying to wrap my head around. To me, this is making a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, it's just setting the Celebration Foundation apart, just acknowledging that there is nothing else in town like them. We're not changing the fee structure from what the committee's recommending, correct? Right? David? Yes?
No, yeah, right.
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 So-
We're not changing the fee structure.
Yeah, so I guess I'm at a loss. Like, why? What harm is it going to do? If we just make that, for the Celebration Foundation, they stay the fee structure wherever the Parks and Recreation Committee, put them and move on.
Why is it necessary to classify them?
It's another contract to administer also, and I'll go back to when we talked about this at last month's meeting. That was also part of this, to simplify the contract administration. So you're creating now another contract to administer. You're creating more definitions, more titles, more for Nikki and management. And again, I'll go back to management's recommendation on this, that they are recommending as is based on what the rec committee has put forward.
I don't see where the more work is.
I think it creates confusion let's say it's a 1A. What did David, what was the term you used as a category?
Yeah, 1A or an
Okay, so then is a 1A take higher priority over a 2?
Yep.
Yes, and so that's the problem. That's the problem. It's giving different preferential treatment.
based on all the long 25 years of history.
I understand all the
Disney's
reasons, but it's preferential treatment. I was just answering for what
That's what
Cindy
the
was saying.
priorities do.
Cindy says everything's the same, but it's not.
Yeah, and then you've got so you go through this. You've got governing organizations, you've got civic groups, you've got partner programs, you've got clubs, and then you've got the Celebration Foundation. So you have one outlier. You've got one group that gets their own special category. So I'm putting that out there just so you think through that. And I understand. Look, I get it, and I don't want to get into a foundation discussion about all the good they do and all that. It's not about that. It really isn't. It's about making sure that we have a consistent framework. And again, we can revisit this, we can discuss it, but it's also respecting all the work that they did and pretty reasonable and objective work for that matter.
So it would change the priority.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so.
It changes the priority. Right now, they're below all the partner programs.
So there are 3.
Right.
We make
And
them
I
in
think
two.
I think
Can we make them in 2 and just change the numbers as we
exactly.
go down?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just honoring the history, honoring what was envisioned by Disney when they created Celebration.
Foundation is the difference between us and Lake Nona. Exactly,
Okay.
because it was created to create a sense of community, help manage the community, yes, do good works, but the other communities don't have anything like it. And it's what separates us and helps create the community we live in. Whether or not you take any of their services, go to lifelong, any of those things, it doesn't matter. There's a community, and I've built a lot of housing, apartments and things, and I've tried to create communities. It's very difficult. I mean, community in the social sense. It's hard to do, and I think that Disney in their wisdom figured out a way to do it. And that's what separates us from all the others. And I think that them having a special designation, and if that special designation bumps them up a list of our partner programs, I'm comfortable with that too. Because in the scheme of things, a social program that helps people is far more valuable than some of the partner programs. As nice as they are, as much as people enjoy them, it's a matter of whether you're feeding children, taking care of seniors who need help. Those things outrank some of the partner programs and should have a priority.
Some of those other civic groups do that too, keep in mind. So
What civic groups do that?
What groups?
What group?
Embrace does that. There are other
And
partner
Embrace
programs.
Foundation feeds Embrace.
Embrace doesn't work in Celebration.
They do 80% out of the community, 20% in the community. The foundation does 80%, and they do 20 community, and foundation feeds Embrace.
This, this is funny. This is what I was hoping we didn't get into, of picking apart each individual partner program or each individual civic group. And I mentioned it, I didn't even want to, but that's what's happening now by virtue of doing this, by creating a carve-out for the foundation. We're now introducing the opportunity to go through every single program and question what they do and question if they should get their own special card. And it's really going against everything that was created with this, and it's just disappointing to hear it. And I really don't agree with you, Bill, that the foundation is what makes Celebration. I get it, and they are an important part of Celebration, but they're not what makes the community. They're a part of it, but certainly not the center of the universe.
Well, nobody but you has talked about picking apart the other programs and justifying them.
What if we give them their?
But you do it every single meeting. Every time you go through these foundation discussions, you are the ones that are doing this. You are the ones, as David said, that the foundation has been decimated. It's you who are doing this because you are choosing to have these discussions in public. You are choosing to bring this up. You are choosing to treat them specially. It is on you. You are the reason why this is happening.
And I'm proud to treat them specially. Thank you.
So can we do their line item for them and bump them up to a 2 instead of a 3? Would that be considered a compromise?
But we'd have to ask the committee.
No, we're the board. They recommend to
They
the,
made a recommendation. Thank you for all the good work. Now we can tweak.
The committee
So-
stated that they
so-
were willing to address the foundation and possibly moving them from a 3 to a 2 if they met the requirements of being a level 2. They didn't say they were a 3 and a 3 forever. There's fluidity in this process that happens, and which is why the committee's asking to see financials and see documentation at the end of every year. So there, it allows for that fluidity and change and growth or shrinking of programs.
So should we call for the vote, and then it sounds like there may be another vote, just so we can get this vote off the table, and then,
okay.
or
So-
I'm putting that out there.
Yeah, I don't know either. Okay, so we're on E. We have a motion from Charles and a second from Jared.
We're running.
I also want to ask, David and Cindy, will you be abstaining from this for the conflict of interest?
I don't have a conflict
I
of
don't have a
interest with the
conflict.
foundation.
You, not with the foundation, but you do with the chorus who benefits from this?
What's my financial?
I'm not asking to change anything with the course.
It's like Celia abstains because her connection with, I don't know if we need the attorney here for this, but it is clear in the definitions that there's a conflict of interest with you both being on the board of directors for the choir.
Not a financial conflict of interest.
That is not what David's, that's not
That is-
what his
That's
recommendation
not
said.
what it is. Exactly
No,
what
you
it is.
should read it or
I
portraying it as something it isn't.
I can pull it up and we can read it.
Here's the thing, we're
Including
not
the state's
just, we're
financial
voting
interest.
on, we're voting on how many programs are on that thing? There's,
Probably 50.
we're voting on 50 things, and you're saying that because I have a close relationship with the fellow who directs the course.
No. Aren't you the president?
Well, I'm-
You're the treasurer of the course.
I know.
It has nothing to do with the relationship. It has to do with your direct board involvement of another organization.
But we're
That will
voting on
benefit from
50
this.
different things. I am not asking anything to be changed from the course. I'm just looking at the broad fee structure for everything, and I'm not asking for any special treatment for them or nothing. So I have to abstain from the 49 other things that are being voted on in categories.
Just the one topic,
What topic is that?
the motion to approve the definitions, designations, and usage fees for the recommended by the Recreation Committee.
But I'm not recommending any changes.
We're about to vote on that. We're about to vote on something. I
So
can find this.
could we
No, you know what?
do two motions?
No,
Could we do two motions?
Go ahead, Charles.
That's right.
No, I was gonna say, could there be two motions, one with chorus and one without? Just to like,
Chorus is not part of the foundation.
I love that you guys keep confusing the foundation as the thing here, because it's not separate and it shouldn't be. It's not what's in the motion.
So I have
Go.
the email from Tom.
The second one.
Per 3.23 of your bylaws, a conflict of interest could also exist if a CROA board member serves as a director of another company or entity that seeks to do business or benefit from CROA. Using an earlier example below, to possibly, and reference to possibly competing fiduciary duties, if a member of the CROA board also serves as a director of Celebration Foundation or another similar entity, the CROA director should disclose their service as a director and abstain from voting, even if they would not personally financially benefit from the contract or transaction. Serving as a director, even a volunteer director of another company, can create a conflict of interest if the CROA board member is being asked to approve something that may benefit the other company.
But this is not a contract.
there will be contracts created from this.
No.
Do you see how many people are shaking their heads in the audience at this?
They don't get to vote.
No, you're right. They don't get to vote. Not now. They do in March.
But are they shaking their heads at you?
I don't think so.
I'm
It's for
fine with,
Steve.
I
It's for
will,
Steve.
I
That's all it
will
could be.
abstain. I will just abstain because this is ridiculous, but I'll abstain. Call the vote.
What are you abstaining from?
I thought, apparently I can't vote. There's 50 items on this thing. I'm not asking for any specific treatment for the course. I do sit on the board. I'm the treasurer, as does David. But if you're gonna make an issue out of it,
I'm
then
reading the
rather than cause a problem,
The
I
legal
will abstain.
interpretation from our attorney of what
I will
defines
abstain.
conflict
I
of
will
interest.
abstain. I will abstain.
And I can resign from the board of the chorus.
Well, wait a minute, what we're passing here is the definitions and designations and usage fees.
Right,
It's not contracts.
right.
Isn't that what F is? F is,
That's just the facility use.
But these feed into the contract. These feed into the contract. We're creating contracts based on what is being approved or not approved. So this is going to be the foundation for, no pun intended, for the contract from here, how these are being classified and categorized.
I think it's time to call the vote.
I just did. I'm abstaining. Let's do it by person. I'm abstaining. Bill?
I vote no.
I have to recuse myself.
I vote no.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
We've got 2 noes, 2 yeses, and 1 abstention. Two abstentions. I thought I heard 2
Motion
noes.
does not pass.
So we go back to the drawing board? Go back to the drawing board. Okay. So again, that was two abstentions, Celia and I, and 1 and 2 noes. And 2 yeses. Okay.
So do we make a different motion to move
Somebody
forward?
want to make a different motion? You want to?
It turned out the same, so.
Right.
Yep. I say we move on. It is already 8:30. And we
7:30.
figure- or 7:30, and we figure it out later.
So we're going to F.
Yes. Motion to approve the 2024 facility rental fee structure as recommended by the Recreation Committee.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
This was also part of our discussion at the workshop. One thing I was very vocal on, that I've been vocal on for several years, is some statement in the, if you will, the contract or the arrangement with someone who's renting a facility about noise, particularly at the North Village Pavilion. That was not addressed in any revision that I saw. I think that's important to the residents who are impacted by noise, whether it's by a resident or non-resident in a facility. So I think that needs to be included.
And also Heritage, the usage of the pool when they rent Heritage Hall out. It should. They didn't
So that just
discuss that.
that needs to be.
Yeah, can Nikki come up to the podium and talk? So
Sure she
the
can.
audience can see her. Sorry, Nikki. Boy, sit next to Mitra.
There she is.
It's on page 5, David, in regards to the contract. I put it underneath outdoor facilities, the Osceola County noise ordinance.
I apologize if I didn't see it because I looked. So where is it?
Page of the facility application. We put it underneath the outdoor facilities, in regards to noise ordinance.
Page 160.
I'm sorry. I was looking at my.
That's right,
Facility
509.
application.
It's like 3/5 of the way down the page, David.
Oh. I was looking
Page
at those.
5 out of 9. Sorry.
5 and 9.
That's very,
Okay,
very there.
that's helpful. I was looking in where things were before, use conditions and requirements.
David site.
Okay.
I thought it'd be a little bit easier to read it like right there instead of it too much in depth.
As long as someone doesn't miss it. I wonder if there should be a cross-reference under I, just see, or I don't know. Look at other items in the whole contract because you're obligated to follow them. That's not good language, but that's.
You do have here the Island Village Clubhouse, that pool access is prohibited when reserving the clubhouse. You do have that.
Yeah.
But they don't have that inherited, do they?
It's here.
Is it?
Well, right now, the rec committee, they said pool access is prohibited since it was a new facility. So that could be reviewed
they do
at a future recreation committee meeting. They just had concerns, folks utilizing the pool and then coming into the Island Village clubhouse and potentially damaging.
Yes.
So noise is in there. Any other questions, comments?
So, yeah, thank you for all that specificity. That's way more than I was.
No problem.
Thank you.
That's better than just say disturbing the peace or disturbing the neighbors. Thank you.
So we have a motion from Bill to accept and a second from Charles. Any other conversation?
Thank you for all the, said this in the workshop, thank you for all the work on doing this and looking at rates and competitors and moving things to current rates. It's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed?
You have to abstain and so do I. Cindy.
Yes, so.
Are we abstaining or are we recusing? Is that the same thing? Okay. Gary, is it? Abstain. Right.
Okay, so let's do it by person again. So I have to abstain. Thank you, Celia. Bill?
I forgot how it was written. A yes vote is for it, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's a yes.
Okay. Celia, you're abstaining along with me. David?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
4-6. Motion passes. 4-2. Okay. Motion to approve transfer of ownership of the EV chargers from Duke to Nova Charge and removal of two level 2 units at Lakeside as recommended by the Technology Committee. So that means that we will know that Duke Energy will no longer own those.
Goes will go to Nova Charge and you guys will get revenue from it. And there's a buyback option at the end. That's a nominal amount. And it's a 3-year agreement that's no cost to you, so it'll give you time to evaluate the profitability, any other options to exercise, and you can decide if you want to own them outright afterwards or if you want to engage with them again, but this time paying for their service contract.
And this will
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
This will add more the added parking spaces back at Lakeside, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's going to pay to remove them? I didn't see that in here. Who's going to pay to remove them?
Who is responsible for removing and putting the pavement back to the way it was?
Oh, bonus.
I have one.
Duke Energy pays for that. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good. Yeah.
Pardon me.
So and I know that the Technology Committee has done tracking on the usage of different ones, those low-level units or the level 2 units have been low usage.
I would like, if it could be looked at in the course of this 3-year contract of moving the remaining ones at Lakeside and putting them in a more street public area rather than, if we treat that as a tenant area, a resident area, then I don't think it belongs there. I think it's for the public benefit. It should be for the public because a lot of the people who use it don't live here.
Right. Good point.
So if there's another place to put it, that'd be great.
But I think they're also going to talk about the charges as part of a discussion at the master plan advisory group.
Oh, really? Good.
Good.
Discussing, no, not moving what you're saying, but thinking down the line of what they're going to be doing to the different amenities. That was a discussion on if these are going to be needed when the group comes up with solutions for our amenities.
Okay, so we have a motion by Charles, second by David. No more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimous. Gallagher Security and Access Control System.
Charles had asked for this to be on the agenda.
Charles? Charles?
Sorry. You may not like this. I want a motion to table this until January because I have some things that I wanted to talk about. So let me start with that motion.
Oh, the motion to table.
What did he say? I thought he was gonna say about to say something else. Were you
No,
gonna say something?
I have the motion out there, and then I'll add a little more
Oh,
color.
I'll second it for discussion.
So I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I went back. I'm trying to like unpackage this because there are a few things I want to talk about. So I think the artisan thing, number one, I think we're going to have to think through that. Is that something? Because my understanding when Janine got up there, and just what I've heard with artisan with their budget, they don't have this in their budget. This is not a reserve item. This is not something that they've typically covered in the artisan budget. My understanding is it's typically come from CROA. It's all just kind of baked in just with all the service areas and whatnot. So I think that's something we're going to have to think about if we just roll that in just under one, just one total CROA expense. So that's one. Two, I was doing some thinking about this 3-bid thing, and I've been going back and forth about this. And I think, Lauren, I think I talked to you about this. So my understanding is Protec is the wiring company. So I think when we talked, I think Jared, you had pointed this out, that we have to get 3 bids beyond just Protec. So like, there are 2 other carriers that have to come in and we have to get 3 bids for them, and then they have to bid those out. The more I thought about it, I don't know if we have to do that. Like, I think we're compliant, but I want to have some discussion about that because I'm trying to draw a parallel to like when our insurance agent goes out and gets bids for insurance or whatnot. I mean, they're acting as our agent. They're going out and getting quotes. It's almost the same too with like owner's rep. We appoint them to go do this. We weren't bidding the Protec, the wiring contract. It was the security solution. So the more and more I thought about it, I don't know. I'm inclined to agree that we did this in the spirit of the competitive bidding process. But again, the artisan thing is where I'm struggling a little bit. And then the other thing, just as I've looked at this, and Lauren or Jose or Celia or whoever wants to opine on this, the one thing I'm having trouble with is really the run rates for these things. I know there's a warranty on it, and I think it was like 10 years. But I mean, what's the cost to us to actually operate this? Because this is a pretty heavy expenditure, and I'm not super comfortable with what's kind of our yearly cost and what kind of what that looks like.
I'll start that one off and then let Jose add detail if I miss anything.
Okay.
So year to date on maintenance and upkeep of your existing system, you've paid over $40,000. Every time we call CJS out to fix the dog park gate, fix the lakeside gate, what have you, that's something that's outside of our maintenance team and IT team's ability, they charge you. So you're over $40,000 to date. With the run rate for the maintenance and service and upkeep agreement with Protec, I believe it's $15,000 a year. Yeah. 1.5 a year. So comparing that run rate to your existing run rate, it's actually a better price for you.
Charles, to what you were talking about, the bids, at the last meeting, I wasn't saying that we shouldn't go with Gallagher as the product, but we didn't get 3 competitive bids just to see if this price, this $190,000 is right. And both the technology committee and management agreed that we should have gotten 2 more bids just to know if we're in the same field.
I thought Gallagher was one of 3. That's how I read the most, that there were 3, Gallagher and then 2 others. No?
Right.
Gallagher is the product. So we got a price from Protec for installing a Gallagher system. We need to get prices from 2 other companies to install a Gallagher system.
Not necessarily.
The wiring portion?
That's the,
That's what I understood.
So
I guess.
Jose's saying no. Jose. Charles, hold please.
So the bid was for the product. So we assessed 3 different products that could perform the same functionality. We evaluated the 3. We got 3 different pricing from 3 different products.
Right.
Not the vendor who's doing the
We
work.
got a price on a motorcycle, a boat, and a car. Not 3 different cars.
It's Paxton, DMP, and Gallagher. So when you're comparing products, you're gonna look at best in breed and pick one from the 3. That's how typically it's done for IT software, because you're not gonna look at Gallagher from one specific vendor and look at Gallagher from a second one, because it's the same software hardware package. So it kind of would, we would just look at the product, different products that offer the same kind of solution.
Sure, but when you buy like a major software package like NetSuite or something that's a big, or enterprise software, you can get price from 3 different dealers of that product that come in wildly different.
We got them we got our actual vendors that were directly from the manufacturers. So whatever pricing we got from.
I'm just talking about Gallagher though.
So you want me to get another vendor to give me a price for Gallagher?
Right, because we know but everyone agrees that Gallagher's the right product.
Okay.
But we didn't get 3 different prices on that, right?
No,
but I don't think that's the spirit of the provision. That's what I'm struggling with.
I agree with Charles.
Yes.
Well, but I agree with Jared. But see,
when you're bidding for software, you're comparing 3 comparables platforms, and you're picking the best one that fits your.
So Gallagher is one platform.
Yeah, so Gallagher's one platform. What they're talking about is now let's go out and bid the installer of that platform.
No.
We've only got 1 bid for the installer of the platform. We
Okay.
need 2 more bids for the installer of Gallagher. Are there 2 other companies that can install Gallagher and give us Gallagher pricing?
And John,
So the issue with that it's
That's
kind
what I'm
of,
saying.
yeah.
so the issue that I
was
have with that
technology's
is,
charge.
That's the wiring piece.
Mhm.
right, so the issue with that is that we got the vendor to come in to now do the legwork, give us all the locations, do the walkthroughs, give us all the line items, give us a quote, and we're gonna provision that to another vendor. It becomes a question of ethics. Does it
No.
make it right?
What we're saying is bring 2 other vendors in, do a job walk with them together. Don't give them
So
Don't give them a Protex bid.
Okay.
Have the other 2 vendors come in, job walk it. This is what I need. Bid it with Gallagher and give us a price for installation and your wiring. That's what we're asking.
Okay.
3 equal bids.
Not a problem.
So you just have to go for 2 more.
2 more installers.
So,
So what happens
is
to
that
the
what we're
analogy
doing
about
right
the
now?
insurance company?
Insurance companies are brokers. He represents.
Well,
Technically, we voted on this and it's already moving ahead. So
right. So when we voted on it, you did have 3 different bids on 3 different companies or products.
3 different products.
So a separate question, going to your point, is in the board packet from last month, were all the details on the bid provided in there?
On the,
So in a sense, they're a matter of public record?
just the one.
on the
Yeah,
bank,
right.
for all 3 products, yes.
But is that actually there? So when they did the walkthrough and all those numbers are there, so in
Anybody
essence,
can see
they're public. So anyone doing a walkthrough can say, okay, we'll bid 20 grand under that.
Mm.
And is ProTech also the company that you said you've worked with in the past and have a good response rate? And that was part of the selling package?
So that was kind of like the overall idea. Well, we already have a vendor that does our wiring. They give us good pricing. They did great work at Adam Village. We've called them on 2 occasions where there were emergencies.
They've been a good partner.
That's correct.
So it was my sense then, and it is my sense today, that you've already done your due diligence. You've done the 3 bids. I don't think, my sense is, I don't know that we need 2 more bids.
Yeah, I think that's
I mean, you're asking for direction from the board.
Yep, I agree.
That is my take on this. I think you've done a yeoman's work, and I think you've done your job.
And the committee,
And that's
I
where the
learned,
committee-
did a lot of work on this.
So to Jared's point, if we've already, so when last week we voted to at least, the vote was to table it because of the artisan discussion. So is that just something we need to vote on today? Is that, because to Jared's point, we've already.
If Artisan doesn't have it in their budget, then we can't expect them to pay for it.
Right.
And this is part of the entire homeowners
Right.
association system. I don't think that they should pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with picking up that, what is it, 15,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the $15,000, that would be Artisan's portion of it.
Yeah, and that's our facility then. That's a
Right.
CROA
We own
facility.
it.
Right.
Then that's what we're talking about outfitting, correct? I agree with you, Cindy.
Charles?
So Charles, what do you want to do?
All right. So then let me process this for a second. Okay. So
You explained it very well. Thank you.
yes. So, all right. So let me amend the motion then to, instead of tabling, I guess what I'll do is I'll make the motion to, based on the prior approval, I guess it was 4-2, to now also add Artisan into the previous approved expenditure, just under one total CROA expenditure. Is that a reasonable motion? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yep.
So I'll second your motion.
Okay.
So this means we're gonna move forward with this.
We haven't voted.
No, I know.
No.
I know.
That's what it would mean. We put the,
So we're definitely,
based on
so
the last vote, we
Gallagher,
put the brakes on.
yeah, so Gallagher is now not an issue anymore. We're moving forward. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
What's the direction for us?
Say it
What's the
again.
direction for management? We're moving forward with the project?
You okay? Is that?
Yep.
Board
And we're
vote?
picking up Artisan's portion, the
Yeah,
15,000.
okay. Sorry, Cindy.
That's all right. That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I do have to abstain myself.
No,
Sure.
unless you use the internet, then you do.
No, I'm
No,
serious.
you're fine.
Okay, then I'm for it.
Okay, so Jared, you said you abstained?
I oppose.
You opposed? Okay. So that's 5-1. All righty, motion approved. Collection account request.
Make the motion to approve.
One second.
Charles and Celia. So there's some kind of discrepancy here because of the chapter 13 with this person? Is that what's triggering this?
That and they were in collections many, many years ago when you had a different collection beginning.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carries. S9 conversions. You have a motion?
Second.
Jared and Charles.
No, David.
No, that's my name, David.
Never mind, Charles. Jared and David. Any questions on any of these? Nope. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. Discussion items, management update. Lauren or Charles?
Charles.
I mean, why does it be Charles? Jeffrey.
I'm not getting married for the bit.
So, from an administrative standpoint, staffing, we currently have 4 positions that we're hiring for, 2 porters, two maintenance techs, and I'm sorry, 1 maintenance tech and 1 inspector. The porters were approved, all these were approved part of the new budget for 2024. The porters will spend their time cleaning the amenity spaces, and the additional tech and inspector will assist with the day-to-day. From the town for projects, the MPEG, the Master Advisory Group, has been meeting. They are proceeding with a few projects, but Town Hall was the one that most importantly on their list. For the action plan, we are consistently moving forward with our teams. We're meeting every week with Grand Manor Senior Management to discuss our progress on the action plan. And we are going to discuss some additional updates for the community. Community standard, and anybody tell me if I'm moving too fast. Community standards, we are continuing. December, it's pretty much a catch-up month for us, a lot of re-inspections. We will begin again in January. With ARC, we processed 107 in December, 84 online approvals, 11 disapprovals. But we are continuing diligently. December is really a catch-up month for covenants, just catching up on a lot of the details and making sure that the letters and things are going out.
So are we catching up on the ARC application?
We are. So for resident services, a pretty busy month. 1,300 phone calls answered, 216 residents assisted in person, 1,472 emails responded to. The logo store had a gross sales of $2,421. We also have the new resident services manager. I'm sure you're all aware that Amy moved on within Grand Manor. So if you haven't met Jeanette Gonzalez, she is the new resident service manager. She has definitely hit the ground. So our executive summary, a big heavy hitter for us is seller service and making sure things are completed in a timely manner. Our most common ticket has been associated with maintenance, landscaping. 72% of our tickets are completed, 20% are in progress, 6% is in the receive status, and 2% is just in an other status. It may not be associated with CROA. It could be CCDD or some more different ending matter. So our management seller service tickets break down. Our heavy hitters are maintenance and landscaping. Community standards is 8%, Princeton's with Prince and Son coming in at 10%, service areas at 6%. And this is our tickets overall, things that we deal with every day.
So question on those two pie charts side by side. When you look at the 20% on the left chart that are in progress, what makes up those? I mean, it could be that those are 100% Prince and Sons or 100% maintenance, or is it?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture. So the big number there is we've been having some issues with some of the equipment,
our
equipment in the fitness centers. So that's just not something that we would handle in-house. It's something that we're waiting for vendors to order items or.
And so some of those in progress may have been in progress a month ago.
They could have been.
So what might be helpful is looking at, when you look at the in progress, how long have those been, and what's the nature of an in progress, and what's in our control, and how do we get more efficient there?
Well, also, when is it going to be when the landscapers start having to be at the board meeting, like Prince and Son and Exquisite?
They're required if they have something on the agenda.
But they're not required at every meeting?
No.
No? Oh, I misunderstood that. Okay. I thought they were supposed to be at our meeting. Okay.
So to address some of
I can have them come to your meetings if you want them at every meeting.
We charge?
Part of their scope of work to be available for board meetings as required.
I don't think they need to come if there's nothing on the agenda that.
Or if we sense there may be an issue.
So I have another question. Our weekly management updates, are they confidential that come to the board?
The HR and legal updates piece are.
So is there there's something I wanted to read. Is that okay? To interrupt you, Jeffrey? Okay, no, it's not. It's on the sheriff detail. We received the management report update on the tri-party agreement that we have with Lexin and the CDD and CROA. It has come to our attention that the sheriff's detail associated with the tri-party agreement entered with CDD and Lexin was given a directive to patrol the boulevard to issue traffic citations and only go to the downtown area if they had time. That's not what we agreed to when we went into this partnership. Mike Nunez from Lexington confirmed this with 2 offices and was shown the specific language from the detailed description. Communication was sent to Angel, who's the executive director with the CDD and Infomar, and Jasenia at the CDD last week in an attempt to clarify if this was in fact accurate. Angel stated that this was a misunderstanding on the sheriff's end and claimed the detailed description and expectations had been updated as of Thursday last week. Mike and I also requested copies of previous detail requests submitted so we can see the specific language utilized in the request. This has not been provided to us after 2 requests. To date, we have not been billed for the extra details, so we are not out of money, but Lexington is considering walking away from this agreement. They are asking if CROA would be willing to enter into an agreement with CROA and Lexington for the detail that would be 2/3 focused on the downtown area and 1/3 focused on the boulevard entities. So when did we approve this agreement with them? Was it this board or was it the new?
It was this board 6 months ago.
Board. So we agreed to split the costs with the CDD and Lexington to control only town center, correct? And Lakeside.
And the parking lots.
And the
Behind-
parking lot.
Yes, the downtown area, the downtown.
Center.
Yeah.
So even though we haven't been charged, but what we thought was being provided with the sheriffs in town hasn't been, right?
To date, no.
Today, so today you received something from the CDD, and I don't even understand why these are all filled in. It's a schedule. I know it's their schedule, but it's
It's like number of
handwritten.
hours, isn't it?
It's handwritten like
It's the time. the
December
detail starts.
15th.
It's what,
It's the time the detail starts.
but it doesn't say where they're going or
It doesn't
what
say
they're patrolling.
anything.
The 3rd page of the detail update is what the email expresses. That's what the detail directive
Doesn't
is.
say anything. It just says extra.
Right.
Celebration, CDD, celebrate. So they're supposed to be, our shared cost is supposed to be commercial properties owned by Lexington in and around Market Street, Front Street, Bloom Street, Celebration Avenue, and Sycamore Street. Lakeside Pool, Clubhouse, and Parking Lot at 631 Sycamore. District property located in and among the foregoing properties around Lake Minot. So since we approved it, we haven't had any coverage. Thinking we have had the coverage. Gary,
Give you an update from
Okay.
yesterday, if I may.
if that's okay. Oh, yeah.
I was at the CCDD meeting yesterday on their agenda. If you download it from the website, had almost 80 pages of the last 3 months of all the details and what they did in celebration. It covers October, November, December.
You mean specifically like gave a ticket at this time?
Yes.
But we're talking about what we are paying them.
I know,
that
I'm
detail.
just- But what I'm saying is,
Okay.
please download that and look at those 80 pages. I looked at every one of them, and yes, there are a lot of tickets for stop signs and speeding all over Celebration, but there's quite a few pages in the downtown area. I read about Front Street and the details, checking businesses late at night, doors.
Just for Friday and Saturday nights, because that's when we're paying them for.
I can't tell you what dates they are, but please download it and look at those 80 pages and you can do an analysis.
I don't know. I just think that there's something that we think we've been having the deputies there. And have we, Lauren, or not?
The information that Angel confirmed that there was a misunderstanding with the sheriff's office and they weren't providing those services to date. But we have not been billed for it.
Right.
So there was no monetary loss.
Okay. So we need to think this moving forward, if we're gonna continue with this agreement or stop the agreement.
But it's not just the agreement, it's the services that we wanted, because we wanted that sheriff's detail coverage on our properties.
And in town.
Right.
That's on Friday and Saturday
From our
night.
perspective, we wanted it on our property. And to Gary's point, with 80 pages, I would hope that that would come from some computer Excel file, so one could sort easily and see what percentage of the time is in the downtown area rather than us.
You have to ask Angel, it's the PDF.
One would think that I would think there should be a report that says, here's where the coverage is. This is what's reported by the sheriff. Is this meeting your standards of what we signed up for?
Right, because
we want the coverage and we're willing to pay for it.
This isn't even detailed. This is handwritten in on Friday and Saturday night.
Those 80 pages are very detailed. It tells
No,
you
I'm
exactly
saying
what to do.
the calendar that we received from the CDD today.
Yeah. So there's work to be done there to tighten that up. Because we want the services and we're willing to pay.
I don't know if Charles were you there when they discussed it?
No, he's only there for the first 2 hours.
No, that may have been in the final 3 hours.
So how do we move forward with that?
I think we need more. Isn't there?
Yeah, I'm still talking.
We need to look at the
Trying to
data.
get additional
Look at the data.
information.
It's 5 after 8, so we need to talk now.
So just one project that has really been a lot of conversation with the spring park pool. So the repairs are complete. There's just a little bit more cosmetic work that needs to be done to the deck. We've also gotten quite a few complaints about the temperatures of water in Lakeside and Spring Park. Those heaters have been serviced and repaired and are now working.
It's been freezing.
100%. So people are still swimming.
Don't they have coverage? The one on Lakeside, isn't that for when it gets really cool?
We do,
When
but
it's below 55 degrees inside.
Oh, and the fence that's below 55 yet.
it has. It has. From an IT standpoint, the celebration website rebuild is complete. There was some issues with some plugins, but we were able to complete those repairs. The Holiday Fest last week, Food Truck Friday, the week before that, and the holiday concert yesterday all went over extremely well. So it's a time.
Just real quick, we gotta do something about the vandalism that I read about in the management report too. I don't know what, but something to think about.
At the theater.
No,
Founders Park.
The last 2 weekends, it's just been, the maintenance team just freshly repainted it and pressure washed it and repainted it for
The monuments?
Founders. And then last weekend and the weekend before that, they came in on Monday morning and it was just covered in mud and footprints. And they had to spend a good couple of hours
On the monument?
All over the monument.
Maybe work with Water Street condos and ask if they could put a camera on their side of their building, because they are doing some cameras in their lots.
Next is the Island Village gym age restrictions. Discuss.
I'll start on this. I did a lot of research on it because I disagreed with Tom's opinion on age discrimination. And I think, age discrimination is viewed with a rational basis. So for example, having a driver's license is not considered age discrimination. Medicare is not considered age discrimination. It's the manufacturer safety guidelines say that you should be a certain age to operate this equipment. So I don't think we're breaking any laws, and nothing that I believe would be held against us for enforcing an age restriction on our gym equipment. And Jim said before, I would think we would be the only gym in the country that doesn't have an age restriction on this equipment.
Does Spring Lake have, Spring Lake has that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So why would we let like these little kids in the gym at?
Well, good. So I think that's what we should do.
Copy the Spring Lake ages.
But we already are
Consistent with
enforcing it.
ourselves.
Yeah.
At Spring Lake, same age restriction. They got taken down.
By us, because we inquired with Tom about pool age restrictions, and he gave us a recommendation on age restrictions in general based on the Fair Housing Act changes.
You would think.
It's
So
already-
Jim, what's it at, Spring Lake?
Restrictions, the age restrictions, 16 and above
Right,
are okay.
right.
13 to 15, you have to have a parent. No one from 12 and under is
Oh.
allowed.
I thought that, yeah, that's always,
It's in writing.
I got a picture of it if you'd like to see it.
Well, how do you police that though, unless you have somebody there?
right.
It's less about that, more about liability.
Yes.
Or just about having the sign.
Oh, so if a 5-year-old does,
Yes.
yeah, then, okay.
Can't, God forbid, a 5-year-old gets hurt with one of those weights or something. That's not good.
You're gonna put the sign back up?
So do we need to have a formal action on this?
Probably be ideal if there was.
Good idea.
formal action.
Okay.
Motion to put the signs back, to other
I'll second.
similar.
Okay, so Jared, Celia? All in favor?
So it's not just the signs, but it's the policy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so then we have to notify the community at large, but also special notice to Island Village residents. I would think that would be helpful.
Yeah. I would make all that.
Well, Island Village residents that are homeowners, there's also, are we talking about the Island Village residents also that rent the apartments? They need to be notified. Do they get notified also?
If they're on our messaging, but I can ask the Cortland manager to notify their tenants.
Okay, because there's a lot of them.
And that facility is open to all
All,
residents.
all celebration.
And 24/7 too.
And
So
24.
No, it's not open 24/7 yet.
Not yet.
I thought we,
okay.
I thought we,
No, we tabled.
We tabled it.
No.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and I just got the documentation that shows in the deed over that it is required to be open 24/7.
That sounds like a
But-
January.
Yes.
yeah.
And I didn't get it in time to put it in the board packet, so I'm not expediting for it.
We're gonna need that.
So you were calling the question.
So you have a motion from Jared and a second from Celia. Put the signs back up at the gym with the age restrictions. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Quickly, several weeks ago, I asked for the committee liaisons to give some thoughts on what they wanted the goals and objectives to be for the committees for next year. I haven't gotten any. So is that we don't want to do this? I'm trying to get a jump on it because they go into effect usually around the time, just before the board flips. Charles said he could make a case for waiting till after a new board comes on, but with the possibility of having perhaps maybe 4 new board members, I don't know that it's fair to put on them what the goals and objectives should be for committees that they don't have any familiarity with. Discuss.
When's the last minute?
When did I think we approved them in February last year?
But that's not, we dictate, like, we're saying that this has to be done by, that's a board discretion item. So my concern with this is our board dictating the next committee's objectives. Like, I think that should be something that the next board does, and that board can then decide the time frame and when they want to. And I don't think there's any harm too in, whatever, if there's some bleed over with, seating committee members and then you're still working on the resolution or refining certain points. I think the challenge I have at least is.
I wasn't talking about committee members. I was talking about the resolutions themselves.
But I'm saying committee, so.
And from year to year, they change very slightly, except for the dog park.
I think going back to it though, I don't think, and this is our entire board. This is, I think until a new board is seated, I think it's probably not great for us to dictate that. I think that should be a discussion with the new board, because the new board is going to have vision, priorities, and potentially something different from this board. That's not. I'm not saying that as a knock on any 6 of us. I'm just saying that's just the facts. There's a new board and different things. So I think that's a little bit. I don't want to put work into that for this board too, because I think it could be undone too by the next board. And I too think just in general. I just don't think it's a great idea because I think that needs to be discussed with the next people that are in these seats.
I agree with you on that, Charles.
I don't know what kind of input 4 new people will have. You know, if they don't fully understand the
Well, you gotta give
committees.
them. Yeah, but that's the point. Like they need to be given that opportunity.
Okay.
To be given the opportunity to get acclimated and have input on that. That's really, again, I mean, they're driving the vision and how to do this thing. So, and again, that's not a knock on us. I'm just saying that's just the reality.
That could be part of the organizational meeting too, a topic for the organizational meeting.
Absolutely.
Cindy,
Absolutely.
I have a both end take. What you're suggesting is using the insights from this past year or prior years in creating the next resolution for 2024. Also knowing that some or many or all or none of the new board members will have a learning curve. There's a learning curve on lots and lots of things, which is why the charter review moved to a 3-year term. It's a better part of a year. So I think it's a gift to the new board to have the resolutions done, knowing that they could be updated. I mean, put that as an update in April that says, hey, these 8 items are great, but let's prioritize number 8 and add 2 more. So having the bulk of the work done, I think is helpful to a new board. Of course, they can always change it, but I think it basically gets it done and gives them a jump start rather than delay into April and then May and then June and all the other learning that they have. So I support what you're trying to do. I also support the new board having input because they will.
Can I make a compromise suggestion?
That's what I was trying to do.
So why doesn't the current board say these would be our suggestions? Because historically, I was just looking through the old agendas in prior years. The resolutions were redone in April after the new board was seated. So, I mean, maybe you guys could say, here's our recommendations on changes or alterations from a historic perspective, but then it's up to the new board to either take your recommendations or go in a different direction.
So the new board will see the resolutions we have this year.
Right.
And the new board, they're not going to be given a blank sheet. Then that new board can critique. They want to put in the resolution if they want to take something out or if they want to add something. So that's like what you're.
I like what Lauren said and where David, I think, was trying to lead that too. So here's kind of our notes, passing it off to the next people and use it if you want, don't use it, but we're going to, memorialize our opinions and thoughts and go from there. I think it's a great idea. I think that's perfect.
So in an informal document.
Yeah, informal, not voting on a resolution, but saying, getting the input from the committee and from the liaison and the board as a whole. Here's what we think should be changed for each of the different committees.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so then I will ask again if everybody could just look at their respective resolutions that apply to their committees and just go through and edit. If this didn't work, then take it out. If you have another idea that maybe it's bubbled up during your meetings, if you want to add that.
I don't know. I think
Put
that
it
would
on
be
the January agendas for the committee for them to have that discussion as
that
well.
would be
for them
the
to have
committee
input.
to say if the resolution is working.
I'll ask the managers to put it on the January agendas.
That's a
for
good
the
idea.
committees.
Yeah.
Well, but the board dictates to the committees what they want them to do.
Input.
It has to be a collaborative conversation.
Collaboration is good.
Okay.
That was one of the big that you guys had last year because they didn't feel like they were part of the conversation.
Okay, you can do that. So all the liaisons will put that on the agendas for the meetings, meeting in January. Perfect. Thank you. And last but not least, Charles, your 5 or 10 minutes, go.
David, do you want to run with it? Because I know you started it, or I can start, and then if you want to pick up, however you want to do this.
Well, I just think that this board needs to have a discussion and a vote. I mean, the end thing is, what is this board's intent? Knowing that anything can be changed with a new board, but what is this board's intent? So if there's a majority that feels that we need to move to an RFP. The sooner a group knows to do that, the better. So what does it take to get to that point? So I think to Gary's initial owner comment 2 hours ago, it was, we got the action plan from Grand Manners some 6 weeks ago or whenever it was. And so what is the status of that, of those actionable items? What is this, what's done, what's in process, what's the resolution? And we need better information to make a decision is the point. And so is it more detail that would be helpful? So maybe that's the question. What sort of detail would we want to make a decision?
Yeah, so I think the RFP, we have, the thing in front of us right now is the action plan, right? So we need to solve, right, we need to see what that looks like day to day, but we need to establish the cadence, because I think right now, and I think Gary was mentioning this, and I know Gary exchanged a few notes with us. There are two things that I think we need to get some consistency around. Number one, how are we going to report this out to the community? And I know we're doing Monday Matters and whatnot, but I think we need to think about kind of some other touch points to show how things are being done outside of the Monday Matters and Friday Flash and whatnot. So there needs to be some thought about that. And then number two, from a board perspective, how are we getting insights on this? What, and what do they need from us also to activate certain things on the action plan? Because I think there may be some items that have to go before the board. Right now, I don't know. There's a lot of things on there. It seems like a lot of those are just kind of day-to-day process changes, things along those lines. But I think we need to understand kind of what that looks like, what they need from the board, and just get some consistency around that being reported. I don't think daily is maybe necessary. I know we get the weekly management report, but and I think you're doing the Friday. Actually, no, I think you're doing the Friday email to us, but I think we may just want to look at that and just make sure that that's meaningful and resonates with us. And then I think to Gary's point, the one thing I really go back and highlight and underline that there needs to be who's responsible for what. There has to be some accountability matrix. Who's handling it? A running log. There has to be something along those lines. And then from there, then we need to figure out, all right, let's synthesize this information. Let's take it back and what's our output? Is it, renew, don't renew, RFP? Then from there we go.
Well, I'm all for sharing information, tracking things better, or whatever, but I want to be careful that the staff isn't spending all their time doing report after report after report, constantly, because then that eats into the time where they could be doing actual work. So if there can be a format devised that is simple, gives lots of, gives touch points, like Charles said.
And there's supposed to be a Monday.com interface on the website.
Yeah.
How's that going?
We need to, so we have it up for the maintenance, for the landscape grading. The pool grading is going up. And then the CCFC project one is up. This one needs to go up next.
So I think that would be the best way to do it, because then it's visible to everyone and it's real time for every employee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
But
because you're doing that anyway, even if residents aren't seeing that now and you're already doing it. So just making portions of that visible.
It's just the dashboard though. It's not going to have names or anything,
Yeah,
but it will have the deadlines and stuff.
Right.
I just don't want to burden you with any more.
Well, no,
More
this
things
is
to do.
our tracking.
But I mean, no, that's great.
Yeah.
We're already knee deep.
Yeah.
Gary, question?
I don't want to delay any longer. Remember the original intent of the RFP, which got us to Grand Manners. And then the evaluation was to, as David eloquently expressed, this is the corrective honeymoon period, part of the extended transition, you might say, 18 months now, to make that decision. So I don't think it's in giving the staff any extra work by asking them to respond to your comments, because this is the fix that you've always wanted. For years, the board has said, why can't we do this? Well, this is your opportunity and it's in writing now. I don't think it's time wasted.
No, I just didn't want them to have to create some kind, because you named several things to be added and I didn't.
Well,
So can I jump in?
yes.
We have what he wants.
Yes.
We give it to
Yeah.
you guys every Friday. We just need to come up with a portion of that can be published to the homeowner. It is not extra work for us. We've already done it. Jose and the team has already created it. We track it. You know, so it's not extra for us.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We
I
want,
just wanted to make sure.
we want to be transparent. We want the homeowners to have the information.
Well, I think that's what Gary asked. Where could we put it on the website?
I mean, we have the other items on the community maintenance page. Do you want this embedded on the CROA page, or do you want me to create a new page?
Wherever you put it, just put it out in the Monday Matters
Okay.
and then people will know where it is.
A link.
It's behind the password, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, behind the firewall.
If I may, I'll spend one more 30 seconds to explain my last bullet that I sent to the board a couple of weeks ago. Remember, it's Grand Manor's responsibility to tell us when an item is complete. Board doesn't decide when it's complete. Grand Manors does. The board then looks at the performance and decides, was that responsive? Did that answer the question?
Is that completed?
Is it really completed? Because you're the ones that are grading performance, not deciding whether this is filled in correctly. It goes back to performance.
Thanks, Gary. Always appreciated.
Yeah,
Okay,
just to push that a little further to the left. When you go back and look at the board's assessment of the, what was it, 141 items, I think it was. My recollection is there were 13 where there was a 2-point spread out of 4, meaning I rated this item a 3 and you did it a 1. Well, who's right? And how do we get towards consensus?
Right.
So it's that's then when we get into those discussions.
Somebody didn't think the performance is up to speed.
Right. So we just need to talk that through because we look at things differently, which is the value of a diverse board.
And everything
But I
you
think
let
the
slide.
average is, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, but the average is dictating the action plan. But to your point, those outliers, David, you know, I know you had comments around covenants. Those are important too, but how do you address those? But again, I think the average is driving the action plan. That's how I'm interpreting this.
That's correct. Yeah.
well, that's the agenda with a couple extra items added. Does anybody have a burning desire to say something?
Happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
To everybody. We're approaching a new year. Everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. And we'll see you next year. Or we might see you before the end of the year if we get that meeting scheduled.
Second to the motion.
Yeah. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.